that balance of how much of it's a video game and how much of it is a educational tool, right? That literally is the beauty of the game-based training. And there's no black and white, right? You know, some of it is kind of like, well, I want to be able to teach this. Well, you're teaching it in a way that's not a game. Basically, you just have a PowerPoint that you're showing them in a game. I actually had a person I was talking to one time said, so when you're creating a new product for Haiku, you don't think about the content that you're putting into it primarily, you think about the game that you're going to build. And I said, exactly. And they said, why? I said, well, most cybersecurity content, with very few exceptions that are only applicable to a niche of people like 0 days, you're not teaching anything new. If you're teaching security awareness, for example, you're teaching people not how to click on phishing attacks or smishing attacks, or how not to respond to that, you know, that scam email. These aren't new. There's nothing new in there. There's no new content. The question is, how do you get people to both adopt and then engage in the training and complete it and assimilate the learning better? And that's all about the type of game that you have. The type of game that you have is what gets them to do it and gets them to learn better. So in game-based training, there's a balance. You can't be too gamey. And early on in Haiku, we had a kind of saying that we would say in the dev meetings, which is, we don't have any orc swinging swords, right? We were going to create a game and get people in the flow, but I don't want to have people, you know, the game designers having an orc swinging sword, because it has nothing to do with cybersecurity. And then when we try to switch from that to cybersecurity, we have the same problem that I talked about the math game, where you're getting them out of the flow. I said, what we do in the game has to keep them in the flow in a way that's consistent with the game. And so that became kind of a saying we had, was no orc swinging swords. And there was a continual push-pull between the people who wanted to build video games, like, hey, I really want to have a superhero comic book video game over here, and in order to do that, I need to make it easier for the person, and I want to have a cool sounding command, and I want to do this, and I want to do that. And we had to keep coming back. Are these skills that somebody can use in real life? If they aren't skills that somebody can use in real life, and we can't map them to a cybersecurity learning framework, then we're not going to teach them. You know, we're not going to be teaching somebody some made-up skills or some made-up command. That's where you see a real difference between true video hacker games like Hacknet, 19.4, some others like that, really fun games to play. And I've had people say, oh, so how was what you do different from 19.4 or some of these other games? And I said, nobody gets a job from playing those games. My goal is that somebody plays our games to be able to get a job.